Our next recipe is for zucchini rolls from Gout Hater's Cookbook 2. Now, I have laid out here 8 cooked lasagna noodles. In the recipe it calls for cooking your lasagna noodles while you're preparing the ingredients. But since we already have them prepared today, I've taken the liberty of getting the lasagna noodles ready and laying them out. Now, first thing we're going to do is take a mixing bowl and mix the zucchini mixture. We're going to place in 1 chopped zucchini, 3 cloves of pressed garlic, 1 lightly beaten egg white, 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 of a cup of chopped onions, and 1/2 of a teaspoon of dried oregano. And you're going to just mix this and make sure that everything is evenly distributed. Then we're going to place 2 to 3 heaping teaspoonfuls of the zucchini mixture over each lasagna roll. And if you like, you can divide up the zucchini mixture before you get started, so you know you're going to get 1/8 onto each one, or just put a little bit on each one and make sure that what you've got is even throughout. You'll have just enough to have a light sprinkling on every lasagna noodle. Now, the next thing we're going to do is do a light layer of spaghetti sauce. We've started out with 32 ounces of spaghetti sauce, and we'll use it all, but we only want to use a light layer on the lasagna noodle stuffing. I'm just lightly spreading it on. Now, remember, when you're selecting your spaghetti sauce, you're going to want to choose spaghetti sauce that has no meat and no mushrooms. Now, our next step is to sprinkle grated mozzarella cheese on top of each one of the noodles. You're starting out with 1 1/8 cups of mozzarella cheese, so you're going to put just a little over 1/8 of a cup on each noodle. And you're just going to sprinkle that on. Just do a light amount, because you can always come back if you have leftover. Just make sure it's all even between the 8 noodles. Now for the fun part, we get to roll the noodles. We're going to have a 15 by 11 by 2 baking dish that's lightly coated with olive oil. And you're just going to roll each one of the noodles. Then you're going to place it in the dish with the seam facing downward. It's okay if you roll it loosely, because you don't want your ingredients to travel on you while you're rolling. Now, see how I'm picking up this end piece, because everything's about to travel on me and I don't want it to do that. I want to make sure it's included in the dish. So I'm cupping it in my hand and placing it into the pan. Now, you don't want your lasagna noodles to dry out while they're cooking, so the next thing we're going to do is make sure that when we cover them with sauce, that everything's covered completely. So I'm just going to start covering everything with a light layer of sauce. We're going to cover this with foil as well to keep the moisture in while it's cooking. Our next step is to cover it with foil. Now, you want to make sure and keep the moisture in, so you're going to cover it and cup the foil around all of the edges. Make sure it's nice and tight. And we're going to place it in a 350-degree preheated oven for 45 minutes. Well, our zucchini rolls are ready to come out of the oven. So we're just going to remove the foil. And be careful when you remove the foil because you don't want the steam to burn you. And you have a lovely dish of baked zucchini rolls. Now to serve those, we're going to take a spatula and get underneath them. We're going to place 2 on this dish. And as a serving suggestion, we're going to just sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan on top.